Pardon my being quippish on this, but do you think success has spoiled rock music? Has it been success that's created the problems?
No, I think it's the inability to cope with success that's spoiled rock. It was the inability to cope with success that killed Janis Joplin and that killed Jimi Hendrix. It wasn't drugs. If you spoke with them, you would see that they just didn't know how to handle the adulation that was heaped upon them by the music that they created. And I have a fear of sounding repetitive because we've gone into some of these areas over the years, but neither you nor I would ever know what it's like to walk on a stage and have 500,000 people tell you that you are a queen, that you're a goddess, and anything you do is just fine. And what's it like to be Elizabeth Taylor, walking down the street with everybody's eyes on you? Sooner or later, you have to believe that you're something special. And how do you cope with that specialness if you've only had it for a year and it didn't come to you in gradual doses? It's like somebody shoving a ton of caviar down your throat. You can't really appreciate it. How do you handle it? So it's not success. It's what's done with it and who is manipulating these people and their monies and their success, and who is advising them, and will they take advice? The rapidity with which success came is a devastating thing, I would think. I'm 41, and whatever category my success would be in, the one thing I know, it didn't come in quick doses.
Is the manipulation part of it, the manipulation of the performers, the part that you dislike most about this business now?
In the end, no matter who you point at, you have to point at the guy who picks up the axe at the end. He can say it's him, he can say it's the public. In the end, it's the cat that picks up the axe and walks out to his gig. That's the governing force. If he doesn't want to play at the Pacific Ocean Pop Festival, he doesn't have to. But when somebody lowers him onto that piece of dry ice on a helicopter, that's him.
Do you see music?
The essence of this release. I mean, why are you closing down? In essence.
The question was, why are you closing down, in essence? And what you're saying is take 2 pages and make 1 sentence. Again, on a personal level, I'm tired. When I say tired, that's in every sense of the word. And that, whatever the gain is in staying, I've decided isn't worth whatever the loss would be in privacy, nervousness. If you make a take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, and put down reasons for staying. One side is positive and one side is negative. On the negative side, there are many, many factors. The plight of dealing for the groups, the plight of dealing with the groups. And I'm generalizing now. There are some good agents, some good managers, some good groups, some good shows, but more often than not, it's a very difficult relationship. The relationship with the public is very difficult. The relationship with the day-to-day problems of running the theater. The negotiating more than anything else. The attempt to book quality acts with quality acts. The search for quality acts. These are more and more troublesome, and they're all on the negative side. Once in a while, the fruit is a good show and a good reaction from the public. But whereas at one time the ratio was 7 to 1 or 8 to 1, pleasurable evenings against displeasurable evenings, and now it's 60-40, 50-50, 40-60, and it's going the other way around, and it's becoming a business. And it always was a business, but within the business came the pleasure of the joy of the work. And now it's becoming much more businessy, and I've never been a businessman. I run a business, but I'm not per se a businessman. So all these factors on the negative side, and on the positive side, I've sat, and this happened on one particular evening a few weeks ago, where I'll have to backtrack, so it's a longer answer than I'd hoped to give you, but I want to hit you with the truth as to how this came about. It wasn't
No longer any fun.
for whom? That's right. No, not no longer. More often than not. It's not no longer. There are some groups that from whom I derive great pleasure. The dues to be paid for me are no longer worth the gain.
Where does live music go now, Mr. Fillmore?
I have no idea. I said a few weeks ago that after all these years that I've been in this business, the only prediction that I think is valid now is that you can't predict anything about rock and roll.
Without really...
God, I feel like
Mr. Graham, you offer as reasons here for not continuing part two. You say there are fewer quality...
we straighten out the other affairs. We have a large organization, and it's going to take some time. I just can't, push the button. No, for the time, once I get to the point when I can do nothing, the only thing I look forward to now is doing nothing. It's not really a phenomenon. This is not the beginning of something. It is the going back to of Americana for 4 or 5 years or 6 years, or for the length of time that I've been in it. Maybe it lasted. It was there before I was here. From '65 to now was a special period, and I think what the young people are doing is going back to mass adulation and shrieking for the sake of shrieking, and they're going back to Beatlemania, and they'll go back to being in large places and memorizing records and lip-syncing along with the group that is 300 yards away. And I don't think it's just, it was emphasized more strongly than ever in the festivals, and it's staying. It's just that the festivals have been taken indoors and somebody put a roof on them.
Someday, coming back to the honesty that you saw a couple of years ago?
No.
Do you relate this to politics and all in the press situation?
No, and it's just a game of supply and demand. It's that I'm not against, I'm against some of the political situations that we're involved with in the country. But what is happening to rock is that it is joining America. It is General Motors, it is Pacific Gas and Electric, it's the telephone company, it's supply and demand. You want I should play for 40,000 people? I play for 40,000 people. Okay, sure. Just make sure it's against 60%. Sir. That's a familiar voice. Can I ask you who you are? I can't see you. Alex. Well, then what I don't want to do, and I don't want to take more time than you people have. There are some direct situations that I'd like to get into, and if you have the time, we'll be here all day if you like, or as much time as you need. And I appreciate you taking the time. A few months ago, we were approached by sometimes I'll use ridiculous adjectives because I swore. I had a mental